The story begins with a woman who built an empire out of love, passion, and resilience, and then watched it all crumble before her eyes. Amy Roloff, once the heart and soul of Little People, Big World, seemed to have it all: a thriving business, a beautiful marriage, and a second chance at happiness. But behind the smiles and the neatly edited TLC scenes, something much darker was brewing. Today, fans are asking the same painful question: who destroyed Amy's life? Her beloved Little Kitchen business, once her pride and joy, has vanished. Whispers suggest that betrayal, manipulation, and heartbreak weren't just part of her TV storyline, they became her real life. The destruction didn't happen overnight. It began slowly, through emotional exhaustion, trust broken by those closest to her, and the growing tension between her personal and professional worlds. And just when Amy thought she had found peace with her new husband, rumors of Chris Marek's secret second relationship began to surface, shattering the fragile stability she had fought so hard to protect. The once happy couple now finds themselves surrounded by speculation, silence, and sadness. Was it jealousy, greed, or something more sinister that tore Amy's world apart? In this video, we'll uncover the hidden truth behind Amy Roloff's downfall, the personal betrayals, the business collapse, and the shocking claims that her life was quietly dismantled from within. By the end, one question will echo louder than ever: was Amy Roloff destroyed by those she trusted most? Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. For Roloff family latest news update, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. After her painful divorce from Matt Roloff, Amy Roloff stood at a crossroads. For years, her life had revolved around the family farm, her children, and the long-running TLC show Little People, Big World. When the marriage ended, Amy faced an uncertain future, no longer the matriarch of Roloff Farms, and unsure of what her next chapter would look like. But rather than retreat into sadness, she decided to reinvent herself. That reinvention came in the form of Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen. What started as a small personal venture quickly transformed into something much bigger, a heartfelt project that symbolized Amy's independence, her creativity, and her refusal to be defined by her past. Through cooking videos, handmade goods, and holiday events, Amy found a way to share her warmth and passion directly with fans. Every dish, every recipe, every post felt deeply personal, like she was inviting the world into her kitchen, one story at a time. Fans adored it. They loved watching Amy roll up her sleeves, laugh through her mistakes, and create meals that brought people together. Her genuine charm, her joyful energy, and her authenticity made Little Kitchen more than just a business. It became a community. Many of her supporters saw themselves in Amy, a woman who had been through heartbreak but was determined to build something beautiful from the pieces. The Little Kitchen brand also reflected Amy's resilience. She turned her love for baking into seasonal gift boxes, virtual cooking classes, and even cookbook signings. She wasn't just surviving after divorce, she was thriving. Supporters flooded her social media with praise, calling her an inspiration, the real heart of LPBW, and the strongest woman on television. For Amy, Little Kitchen was more than a company, it was proof that she could stand on her own. It gave her confidence, financial freedom, and emotional healing. Every cupcake she baked and every customer she greeted reminded her that she was still capable of creating joy, not just for others, but for herself. But just as things seemed to be falling into place, something began to shift. Subtle tensions started to appear within her personal life, her business, and even her marriage to Chris Marek. Rumors swirled online about disagreements behind the scenes. Some fans noticed that Amy's usual spark seemed dimmer, her posts less frequent, and her tone more guarded. That's when whispers began that Little Kitchen, once the symbol of Amy's independence, was beginning to crumble from the inside. Whether it was financial strain, emotional exhaustion, or betrayal, the cracks were starting to show. And as Amy fought to keep her dream alive, those closest to her would soon make decisions that would change everything. As Amy Roloff's Little Kitchen began to grow, what started as a passion project quickly became a demanding full-time operation. Running her small business meant long nights, endless paperwork, and constant decisions, all while trying to maintain her public image and balance her personal life. But beneath the cheerful cooking videos and homey charm, Amy was facing a storm few could see. Financially, Little Kitchen was far from easy to sustain. The rising costs of ingredients, packaging, and distribution were mounting. Inflation hit small businesses hard, and Amy's venture was no exception. Yet what made her struggle even more intense was the emotional toll, the burden of keeping everything afloat while the past continued to haunt her. Her divorce from Matt Roloff might have been finalized years ago, but the shadow of Roloff Farms and everything tied to it still loomed large over her new life. Sources close to the Roloffs have whispered that family tensions never truly disappeared, they just shifted shape. Amy's independence, while empowering, reportedly created friction with certain family members who believed Little Kitchen should have stayed more connected to the Roloff brand. Rumors began to swirl about disagreements over financial control and licensing, specifically, who had the rights to use the Roloff name or likeness for business ventures. Amy, fiercely protective of her own identity, wanted her new brand to represent her, not her past or her ex-husband's empire. But this strong stance may have created rifts behind the scenes. Fans noticed subtle changes in Amy's tone during interviews and live streams. Once bright and upbeat, she began making cryptic remarks about people not respecting boundaries and the challenges of starting fresh when the past won't let you go. Some interpreted these as references to ongoing conflicts with Matt or even the production team behind Little People, Big World. Adding to the pressure, Amy's Little Kitchen reportedly struggled with licensing and regulatory hurdles. Small business owners often face endless red tape, from permits to food safety inspections, but Amy's business seemed to attract extra scrutiny. Whether it was because of her fame or the lingering connection to Roloff Farms, she couldn't seem to escape the spotlight. There were whispers that some of these issues stemmed from miscommunication or even interference, that someone behind the scenes was making things harder than they needed to be. Family betrayal, it's a phrase fans have used time and again when describing the Roloff clan's complex history. And for Amy, it might have cut even deeper this time. When she launched Little Kitchen, it was supposed to be her safe space, her personal sanctuary where she could heal, create, and inspire. But as sales began to dip and costs rose, she found herself surrounded by familiar doubts and frustrations. Her ex-husband's growing business ventures, her children's shifting loyalties, and the public's constant comparisons all made it nearly impossible for Amy to simply be Amy. Eventually, the cracks began to show. Loyal followers started noticing fewer updates, canceled events, and a noticeable silence across her social media. Then came the posts that broke hearts, captions like, "Sometimes letting go is the hardest part of growth. And when life forces you to start over again, it means there's something better waiting." Fans immediately sensed something was wrong. Was Amy being pushed to sell Little Kitchen? Had she lost control of the brand she built with her own hands? Many believe that the decision to sell wasn't a simple business choice, it was an emotional surrender. It wasn't just about money. It was about trust that had been broken too many times before. Amy had already lost her marriage, her place on Roloff Farms, and now, it seemed, even her dream of independence was slipping through her fingers. The woman who once inspired millions with her resilience now faced the devastating reality of seeing her new chapter unravel. On forums and social media, fans poured out messages of love and heartbreak. "Amy deserves peace," one follower wrote. "She's been through enough." Another added, "She built Little Kitchen from scratch. It's so sad she had to give it up because of family drama." Through it all, Amy remained graceful, never naming names, never pointing fingers. But her words told their own story. Each post, each quiet appearance carried the weight of exhaustion and disappointment. She was clearly holding on as long as she could, but in the end, the business pressure and emotional betrayal were too much to bear. And so, Little Kitchen, once the embodiment of Amy's comeback, became another bittersweet chapter in her life. A chapter marked by ambition, courage, and heartbreak, but also by lessons in strength, resilience, and knowing when it's time to walk away. Up next, the story takes an even more shocking turn, because just when Amy thought the worst was over, rumors about Chris Marek's secret second relationship began to surface, threatening to shatter what little peace she had left. As Amy Roloff's world seemed to unravel with the downfall of Little Kitchen, another storm began to form, one that struck at the very heart of her personal life. It started quietly, almost like a rumor whispered between fans online, but soon it spread like wildfire across social media. Claims that Chris Marek, Amy's beloved husband, was secretly involved with another woman. For years, Amy had built her post-divorce happiness around her life with Chris. Their love story had been one of redemption, a second chance after heartbreak. Fans adored seeing Amy smile again, especially after decades of struggle and public scrutiny during her marriage to Matt Roloff. But now, those same fans were asking painful questions. Had Chris betrayed her trust? Was there truly another woman in the picture? According to online speculation, whispers about a possible second wife began when Chris was reportedly spotted at events and gatherings without Amy by his side. A few sharp-eyed fans noticed he wasn't wearing his wedding ring in certain photos, something that immediately sparked suspicion. These observations might have been innocent at first, but the internet thrives on details, and soon, the narrative grew darker. Some claimed Chris had been seen spending time with a woman in Oregon who looked unusually close to him, though no one could confirm who she was. As Amy's social media followers kept watch, they began noticing other subtle changes. Her posts, once filled with cheerful couple selfies and warm family dinners, became less frequent and more guarded. The vibrant energy Amy used to radiate seemed to dim, and fans couldn't help but wonder if her smile was hiding pain. Was this just a coincidence, or was there truth behind the rumors of a second woman? Inside sources close to the Roloffs reportedly mentioned that Amy had grown increasingly emotional and withdrawn, struggling to balance her crumbling business with growing tension at home. There were whispers that arguments had broken out between her and Chris over trust and communication. Some even said she had been trying desperately to keep things together for the cameras, determined to maintain the image of a happy marriage despite what was happening behind closed doors. The timeline was impossible to ignore. Around the same period when Little Kitchen began to falter financially, Amy's public appearances with Chris dropped sharply. She missed several local events she once never would have skipped. Fans also pointed out that Chris, who used to appear regularly in Amy's live videos or holiday photos, seemed to have vanished from her feed altogether. This silence only fueled more speculation. On Facebook groups and Reddit threads, discussions ran wild. Some claimed Chris's mystery woman was just a business associate, while others insisted there was something more intimate going on. The idea of a second wife, possibly a past or secret partner, became the heart of the gossip, and soon it wasn't just fans talking. Even tabloid sites picked up the story, adding exaggerated details that made things worse. Through it all, Amy tried to stay strong. She posted occasional messages about focusing on faith and finding light in dark times. Fans read between the lines, feeling that those cryptic words hinted at deep emotional pain. Despite the whispers and online chatter, Amy never directly addressed the rumors. Instead, she maintained her usual kindness, cooking, sharing her gratitude, and continuing to thank her followers for their support. But those who have followed Amy for years could see it. Something in her demeanor had changed. The warmth was still there, but the spark seemed fainter. And behind that gentle smile, many believed there was heartbreak, the kind that comes not just from business loss, but from betrayal by the person she trusted most. Whether the second wife rumors were grounded in truth or just cruel gossip remains unclear. But one thing was certain, the emotional strain they placed on Amy was undeniable. Her fans could sense it, and it broke their hearts to watch her go through what appeared to be yet another chapter of hurt. In the eyes of many, Amy had already overcome so much: a public divorce, rebuilding her identity, and carving out success on her own. The idea that she might now be enduring a second betrayal, one that struck at her marriage, was almost too painful to imagine. Still, Amy pressed forward, refusing to let her struggles define her. Even as Little Kitchen faded and the whispers about Chris grew louder, she continued to show grace. Her resilience became her quiet rebellion, a reminder that no matter what happened behind closed doors, Amy Roloff would always face the world with courage and dignity. The question that lingered, though, was this: had Amy's heartbreak and the loss of her business been connected all along? Some fans believed so, that the emotional weight of a fractured relationship may have drained her spirit, affecting her work, her focus, and her motivation. Others felt it was simply bad timing, two separate storms colliding at once. Either way, Amy's world was changing fast. The woman once seen as the heart of little people, Big World, was now facing some of the darkest challenges of her life, and as the whispers grew louder, the truth about her marriage to Chris Marek seemed more uncertain than ever. Would she finally address the second wife rumors? Or would Amy continue to bear the pain silently, shielding her heart from a world that had already watched her fall apart once before? The next chapter of her story would decide everything. And so, as we reach the end of Amy Roloff's emotional journey, we see a woman who has lived through both extraordinary triumph and heartbreaking loss. From the early days of Little People, Big World, Amy inspired millions with her optimism, humor, and deep love for family. She took her pain from a public divorce and turned it into power, building Little Kitchen from the ground up. A brand that reflected her independence, passion, and belief that new beginnings are always possible. But somewhere along the way, everything started to unravel. The pressures of fame, business complications, and emotional strain began to weigh heavily on her shoulders. Friends became distant, supporters turned skeptical, and the very dream she poured her heart into started slipping away. What was once a symbol of hope and renewal became the center of turmoil and heartbreak. Through all of this, Amy's resilience has shone through. Even when life seemed to strip away everything she'd built, she refused to give up on herself. She's shown the world that real strength isn't found in wealth, reputation, or social media praise. It's found in the quiet moments of perseverance, the courage to face betrayal, and the grace to keep moving forward even when your world falls apart. Her story isn't just about loss, it's about rediscovery. About learning who truly stands by you when everything else fades. And for fans who have followed her since day one, Amy remains more than just a reality TV star. She's a reminder of what it means to rebuild, to love again, and to never lose faith in yourself. Amy Roloff has always been the heart of Little People, Big World, strong, caring, and resilient. But recent events have tested her like never before. Whether it was family tension, business betrayal, or heartbreak, one thing is certain: Amy's story reminds us that strength isn't about never falling, it's about finding the courage to rise again. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.